In the 1800s, Russia's empire stretched across continents, including the far-flung lands of Alaska.
Russia's presence in Alaska began in the 18th century through the Russian-American Company, focused on fur trade.
The Russian-American Company controlled much of Alaska, exploiting its fur trade and natural resources. But despite its size, Alaska was remote and sparsely populated, becoming an economic burden. By the 1860s, Russia faced financial struggles, partly due to the loss in the Crimean War and the increasing cost of maintaining Alaska. Russia's military could not effectively defend Alaska in case of war, especially from Britain, which controlled Canada.
The isolated and harsh terrain made it difficult for Russia to maintain its hold on Alaska.
With the looming threat of Britain's power in the Pacific, Russia realized that holding Alaska was no longer feasible.
Faced with these challenges, Russia began seriously considering selling Alaska to a friendly nation.
Russia sought to avoid losing Alaska to Britain and looked for a way to offload the territory without conflict. Meanwhile, the United States was in the midst of its own expansion, driven by the ideals of manifest destiny.
Secretary of State William H. Seward was a key figure pushing for U.S. expansion and saw Alaska as a strategic prize.
Seward believed that acquiring Alaska would secure the U.S. future in the Pacific and open trade routes with Asia.
Despite opposition, Seward's belief in the long-term value of Alaska only grew stronger.
Seward envisioned Alaska as a critical military outpost and a land rich in natural resources, including timber, fisheries, and minerals. By 1866, Russia had decided to sell Alaska, and Russian ambassador Eduard de Stockel was sent to negotiate with the U.S.
Seward engaged in intense negotiations with Stockel, determined to strike a deal for the acquisition. Russia's declining finances and military concerns made the sale an attractive option.
After several months of back-and-forth discussions, the terms of the agreement began to take shape. In March 1867, the two nations reached a tentative agreement on the sale of Alaska to the U.S. The purchase price was set at $7.2 million, about 2 cents per acre, an incredibly low price for such a vast land. While the cost seemed cheap, many in the U.S. were skeptical about the value of the land.
Despite public skepticism, Seward remained committed to the idea, believing in the long-term value of Alaska.
When Seward presented the treaty to the U.S. Senate, it was met with mockery, with critics calling it Seward's Folly.
Many in the media ridiculed the purchase, seeing it as a waste of money on barren, frozen land. Despite the criticism, Seward tirelessly campaigned for Senate approval, and on April 9, 1867, Seward's vision prevailed, and the United States was officially set to acquire Alaska. With the treaty ratified, Alaska was formally set to change hands from Russia to the United States.
The formal transfer of Alaska from Russia to the United States took place on October 18, 1867.
The American flag was raised, and the territory officially became part of the United States. Public reaction to the purchase was mixed. While some were excited, many doubted Alaska's value and practicality.
The media continued to mock the purchase, calling it Seward's icebox, claiming the land was barren and useless.
However, as settlers expanded westward, the importance of Alaska in securing the Pacific coastline became apparent.
Alaska's fisheries, timber, and mineral resources began to show potential, despite early skepticism. The acquisition also positioned the United States as a key power in the Pacific, with vast potential for trade and military strategy.
By the late 19th century, the discovery of gold in Alaska attracted thousands of settlers and miners, fueling the state's growth.
The gold rush led to a population boom as prospectors and settlers flocked to Alaska in search of fortune.
Gold was discovered in places like Bonanza Creek, making Alaska a key part of the nation's economy.
The goldfields of Alaska, not reorganization, brought economic prosperity, but also opened the door to further exploration and settlement.
In the 20th century, the discovery of oil further cemented Alaska's value, making it a critical part of the U.S. economy.
During World War II, Alaska's strategic location made it a key military outpost, guarding the U.S. from potential threats in the Pacific.
Alaska's airfields and military bases became crucial to the war effort, particularly as a staging ground for operations in the Pacific.
Its proximity to both Japan and Russia made Alaska a critical defensive location during the Cold War. Even after WW II, Alaska remained an important military presence, guarding the U.S. against Soviet threats. The construction of the Alaska Highway in the 1940s further integrated the territory into the U.S. military and civilian infrastructure.
After decades of growth, Alaska's statehood became a reality. And on January 3, 1950, Alaska's statehood was a moment of celebration, marking the completion of the U.S. expansion from coast to coast.
The raising of the Alaska flag symbolized the final step in its integration into the United States.
By the time of its statehood, Alaska was already recognized as a land of immense natural wealth and strategic importance.
Today, Alaska stands as one of the most vital states in the U.S., rich in resources, history, and geopolitical significance.
Geographically, Alaska positioned the U.S. as a dominant force in the Pacific, vital for trade and military operations.
Its proximity to Asia opened new markets for trade, with the Pacific becoming a gateway for U.S. economic power.
The strategic position also meant that Alaska could be a military outpost against potential threats, especially from Russian and British powers. Alaska's military significance only grew during the Cold War, acting as a crucial outpost in the defense of the U.S.
From tracking Soviet submarines to maintaining air superiority, Alaska has remained a critical asset for national security. In the late 19th century, the discovery of gold in Alaska sparked the gold rush, bringing thousands of settlers. The gold rush created boom towns across the state, attracting miners, entrepreneurs, and settlers eager to stake a claim.
Alaska's gold reserves boosted the U.S. economy and transformed the state from a barren wasteland into a hub of economic activity. Gold mining became a cornerstone of Alaska's early economy, laying the foundation for its modern-day prosperity. The gold rush not only populated the state, but also connected it more deeply to the U.S. economy, increasing its significance.
By the early 20th century, Alaska's vast oil reserves were discovered, making the state an even more valuable asset.
The discovery of oil changed the landscape of Alaska, fueling the U.S. economy and making the state an energy powerhouse.
Today, Alaska continues to produce significant amounts of oil, vital to the U.S. energy supply. Beyond oil, Alaska's fisheries are some of the richest in the world, making seafood a key part of the economy.
With abundant natural resources including timber, minerals, and fisheries, Alaska's economic potential became undeniable.
During World War II, Alaska became an essential military outpost, guarding the U.S. against threats in the Pacific.
Alaska's strategic location became vital as a base for air raids against Japan and a staging ground for military operations.
The Japanese attacked Dutch Harbor in 1942, the first battle fought on U.S. soil since the War of 1812.
The threat of invasion highlighted Alaska's military importance, leading to the construction of key bases and airfields.
During WW II, Alaska played a crucial logistical role, supplying the U.S. military with vital resources for the war effort. During the Cold War, Alaska's location made it a critical part of the U.S. defense network, watching for Soviet missile launches.
The space race saw Alaska become a pivotal site for launching missiles and satellites into orbit, aiding U.S. advancements in space exploration.
Alaska's vast, remote terrain made it ideal for radar stations, monitoring Soviet activity during the Cold War.
Alaska's defensive role helped safeguard the U.S. against Soviet attacks, contributing to the nation's security throughout the Cold War. Alaska became a training ground for U.S. and Allied forces, testing military strategies in extreme conditions.
On January 3, 1959, Alaska was officially admitted into the Union as the 49th state of the United States.
Alaska's statehood was a major milestone, recognized for its economic, strategic, and cultural importance.
The statehood flag represented Alaska's official transition from a territory to an integral part of the United States.
The people of Alaska celebrated the day as a new beginning, marking their full inclusion in the American dream. Alaska's statehood marked the final chapter in the U.S. expansion, completing the nation's reach from coast to coast.
All right, set her down right there. Got it, Cap. Watch your hands.
Alaska has grown from a sparsely populated wilderness into a modern state with thriving cities and communities.
The oil industry remains central to Alaska's economy, with the Trans-Alaska Pipeline stretching across the state.
Looking to the future, Alaska's role in space exploration and defense continues to grow, shaping the U.S.'s future in space. What was once derided as Seward's Folly has become one of the most important and valuable territories in U.S. history.
Alaska's natural wealth, strategic location, and military importance have made it indispensable to the United States.
Alaska stands today as a testament to the vision of its early advocates and the transformative power of bold decisions. From a land considered barren and unnecessary to a thriving, resource-rich state, Alaska's acquisition is a proud chapter in U.S. history, showing that sometimes what seems like folly can become a brilliant stroke of foresight.